maybe. Okay. So if what we're talking about here is simplifying it into a monochromatic. A monochromatic is lights and darks of one color. And again, with watercolor, it would be still the white of the paper is the white or the lightest part of the picture. So if I take a picture, let me edit this just briefly. This helps with oil. This helps with any painting, actually, to get your values right. If you can get your values right, the rest of it will read right. So now I'm go to my edit, and I'm going to get rid of the colors. So I just make it black and white, and I'm going to save that. So if I am uncomfortable translating a black and white to a monochromatic, change it to black and white. Okay? Mm-hmm. So my darkest darks are underneath the columns, the people, the light post if I care to put it in. And the very center of this is a long triangle. So I started with the long triangle in my drawing. So I'm going to show you how I did it, and then I want y'all to try, because we don't have a whole lot of time. But this one doesn't take a whole lot of time. So I'm going to just note from here to about here is going to be my base of my triangle. I don't want it really tall. So find the center and aim up there. I don't even think I got that quite in the center. Move it over just a little bit. And then what I did here is I go, how many pillars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I did get it right. I didn't think I did. Because what I did is I looked in this looked like the middle to me. See this center, this space? So I related this center space to the point of my building, and I put that first dark streak right under it, and then I just tried to divide it up. So note this back edge angles out. It is not straight up and down. So see how this comes further out? So I angled it slightly out to the right, and then I have this building going that way. Drag your line all the way across and follow that line here, and this one comes down. So there's a skinny part of this building that you really don't see right in here. And this is kind of how I started. I didn't have any of this drawn in. I started with just this outer edge of the negative space, and went from there. Okay, y'all ready? Y'all have that drawn? Oh, you can take a picture anytime you want. And I'll pass these around too. So I'm gonna use blue again. If you want to use something else, that's fine. I just think I picked the second blue on that row because I just, kind of patriotic color of blue.
Are you going to leave the pencil marks and come over them with the blue, or should we kind of get it going and erase them?
Oh, I wouldn't get it. I would, if you think you're going to erase the lines, and make them really light.
But I mean, do you think we can make them not appear so much, or?
I don't know how dark yours
me,
are.
When I did that one, I had to, that's pretty dark, isn't it?
Yeah, when I draw it as light as I can. I'm drawing it probably light, darker, just so that y'all will see it. And see, when I stand up and look from a distance, this needs to come out further. And this is the outside of that triangle, not the dark line on the inside. So, what I'm working with in this is a lot of negative space. If you haven't drawn negatives, I'm drawing the negative space around the building. The negative space is the space between the columns. That's what I mean. I'm not drawing the columns, I'm drawing the space around the columns. Okay, so y'all just watch for a second. Just put your brush down and chill for a little bit. I want to mix up a little bit. I don't have much water in this brush. Let me get a little bit more. Must have picked up a different brush because I filled up the other one at one point. I love these little... Anyway, like a science experiment. Okay, so I'm going to create a cleaner space here because I just want one color in this painting. And I'd like it to be that truer blue. It's the ultramarine, I believe, is what y'all have.
The third?
No, it's the second one.
Oh, second one.
Okay, so I have a pretty thin, oh, you can't see it, I'm sorry. It's fairly thin, watery puddle. And I'm going to do the sky first. I'm turning it sideways like we did the sky in the painting with the lake, the water. And I'm just going to just cover the area. I did not pre-wet it. I probably could have. And it looks a little odd because that angles out, but that's really what it does. And I'm going to lift up some of this to create a little variation in the sky, but you don't have to. I just yeah, this is more, maybe it is this other color I used. Yeah, because that is more purple than what this first one was. Okay, not quite totally monochromatic because I just changed colors. It's still a blue, but a true monochromatic is you use one hue, not two like I just did. Okay, all right. So I'm just doing the sky. I'm going to leave it. Okay, it looks awkward because that comes out. It's because I can see that I'm slightly off center from this building. I can see this part of the building come out. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to, guess I'll use both of those blues. I'll just put it together. I'm not going to worry about it. It is a blue. All right, I'm going to be very careful with what I do here because I want to indicate some of these dark lines. So I don't want to touch where the sky is because it's still wet. Okay? So I'm going to work inside this triangle. So I'm going to go up the edge, across where my pencil line is, and down. But I noticed I left a section clear, and I'm barely touching. I'm doing some little pulling down some dots, leaving some space in between, and then I'm going to do some squiggles in here that indicate these carvings that are relief. I'm not even trying to make it look like anything. I'm just showing that there's something there. I like that darker color better. What did I use? Really should have paid attention. Okay. Y'all ready to watch? Mm-hmm. Okay. What I want to do now is I'm looking at this, and the very center of this lines up with the point of my picture, this center opening. So I want to come down a little bit where that center opening is, and I'm going to do a streak about as tall as I think those columns are. And I'm going to do another one, and another one, and another one. And whoops, some of them aren't.
That's still that blue.
It's still that same blue. And oops, I went too high. Ugh. Did not mean to get that wet. Okay, so here is my funky looking building. I have a wider column over here, so I'm going to bring in my sky a little bit more on this side and thin up that. I did a better job on the first one. Okay. Plus, I wasn't talking on the first one, so I'm going to quit talking, and I'm just going to paint, because sometimes I really just need to pay attention to what I'm doing and try to, instead of trying to tell you. So just watch and see what I'm doing, and then I'll let y'all paint, and then we can rewind the video. I'm going to go back here, put the side in here, just a little indication of something going on back here. There's some kind of texture in the, I'm just doing that with little bitty stripes, and another line. These are a lot darker on the inside. They're going to come down, coming up to the top. This one is darker at the bottom. There are windows. I made mine a little taller over here, and they're coming. I look at where this corner of the building is here, and if I came straight down, I'd be to the left of a building. I mean, of a window. So I just come straight down and move over a little bit, and I'm just laying my. I need a little more paint. Laying my brush down. I'm not even worried about how many windows. I'm just going to try to get them about the same size and just put a few in. Underneath those windows, if you want to put the little square that's up underneath, you can put that. Almost looks like a fat exclamation point. There is a shadow right here that indicates this portion of the building that sticks out. So I just slightly indicate that just with a pale blue. Do you see it right? That's what I'm talking about right there. And then on the other side, there's a little bit of shadow as well. And then I'm going to just start, I'm holding my brush up to where it's just barely touching. And I'm starting to throw in what I would consider stairs and steps. And I'm going to take this side right here. Do you see that funky little shadow right there that hangs off? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put that in here. It kind of closes up that side column. And then I'm going to do what I did over here, except I didn't do the roof over here. That's funny. Okay, so I'm going to do the angled little lines on the roof that I didn't do on my first painting. Do a line and another line, and then underneath that will be my windows. So, well, I'm a little high up, but that's okay. Can't see what I did because my hand's on top of it. So I'm just putting some windows. These are further away. They don't have to be as dark. They might be the same amount. And there's like a little shadow. I'm not exactly sure what that. Yeah, here's the shadow of that other piece that's coming out from the stairs. So there's a pale shadow here, because there's actually a statue on the end of this, and I'm not worried about that because it's so light you can hardly see it. so much of this is in bright light. Now that the interior of the columns is dried, I'm going to come back with even darker blue and keep it at the very top. And at the very bottom of the center one, I'm making it darker because that's where the door is, so that you can get in. And I'm add a little water to this. I'm going to create that illusion of Corinthian columns just by doing little squiggles all along here at the top. That might be a little too dark, but we'll pretend they're in good shadows. I'm going to exaggerate some of the shadows again that are darker up in the roof and in the plaster part. Those windows are pretty dark. I'm going to come back and make those darker. And then we're going to put some people in. That's the fun part. The people will be little streaks. I'm going to make that come down a little more. I'm going to bring my a little bit higher up on the stickers. The ones that are farther away are tinier because they're little. So if I have tiny people, there's a person. Here's another person. There's another person. And there's a whole crowd of people over here. They're a little taller. They run together. They're walking up. They're running into each other. But all this is just lines right now that indicate people. Now, I'm not trying to get it accurate. If you want to show, people walking, you can make them a little bigger and indicate a leg out or something. But the ones in the back can just be small and indicate movement or standing still. That's just about as simple as you can get. I like that one better, but I didn't talk when I was doing that one, so I did a little better. But just having an idea of what you can do when you're just working with one color, and create a little more shadow in here, a little more color, because this is not white in here. I'll add that to the other one too. It's kind of dry, which is fine. It's textured. See, I don't know, the paper's even different. You see how the paper here is reacting different than the paper here? I thought all the paper I had was the same. Might be the back side. Oh, they're so quiet.
Because it's getting late.
It
It's
is.
bedtime for mine.
I know. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. So that'll give you something to